Alrighty, it's a VMA-214 Blacksheep training video. We're going to look at the Airboss pattern, case 1 practice pattern. Admittedly the weather is more like case 2, case 3 occasionally, but we're just practicing, so let's just do the case 1 pattern. Before we get going, really important thing to consider is whether you've actually got the performance to do a vertical landing. The way you can check this is, at the moment we've got 3,300 pounds of fuel. Set bingo to 1,200, and we look at the VREST computer. So I'm in VREST here, select VREST computer there, vertical landing, and you can see fuel plus water. For a wet landing we can handle 4,400, we'll call it, and for a dry 3,000 pounds of fuel plus water. So at the moment we're 3,300 pounds of fuel and 500 pounds of water, which is indicated up here. So we're actually 38, so we can't do dry, so we're going to have to come back wet, which we can do. So it's just important to make sure you do have the performance, because otherwise you're going to pull up here next to the hover stop and you won't have the performance to cross level, and you'll just either settle into the water or cross not level and into the deck. So I'll leave that up, and I have the course 223 TACAN 10 X-ray set for the carrier, and the frequency 315 for Marshall, COM2 325 LSA already set. Now we just have to get into the Airboss menu, comms menu, and in the other Airboss we have this emergency landing, so that's going to allow us to get into the bolter pattern as such, where we can come back around and just the next call will be the LSO saying paddles contact. So what we also have in here is a help. There's some good items to help you. Kneeboard to control the ship, which has just started case 1 operations, and also get the carry info. Request commence if you're arriving, request marshal, fueling to leave the pattern to go and refuel and come back in. Not really applicable for this operation in V-style, but it's more a CVN thing. But let's hit emergency landing.
429, roger.
Alright, I'm set up for my practice pattern. So we're going to set the stow stop to 60 while practicing at these weights. We're going to do a dry takeoff, and I've got the flaps set to stow. And I'm holding the feet on the brakes. Brake brake off. And before I go, I always rotate to the stow stop, the nozzles, and just make sure the flaps run out, which they do. That would be pretty unfortunate if they don't and you get to the end of the deck. And we're going to go full thrust. As soon as it starts skidding, we're going to release the brakes, track the tram line, and then at the end of the deck we're going to rotate the nozzles to the stow stop. And this little pitch witch's hat there, we're going to raise that up into that pitch carrots at the top there. Gear up, and then set the nozzles to 30 and climb our way to 600 feet. So let's get into the pattern.
Caution, caution.
Okay, brakes are off, and you can see I've got nose wheel steering set here for all carrier operations. Nose wheel steering stays on, so that's for both takeoff and landing. So here we go. Bring it up on the brakes, skidding, brakes off. Rotate the nozzles, gear up, and nozzles to 30.
Altitude.
And we're climbing away.
Altitude.
And as we approach 600 feet, I want to lower the nose, and now I'm flying the flight path marker rather than the witch's hat.
Landing gear.
So I'm using thrust and just controlling my speed, using thrust and flying at level around at 600 feet on the flight path marker. We look at the carrier, we want to be about 0.9 to a mile abeam. And coming around here, I'm going to set the nozzles to 55. And take the gear down. And the flaps will run back out as we slow down. There they go, to 62. And it's now a matter of just holding that 600. Excuse the beacon going off on 243, it's just painful, but anyway, I'm on the server at the moment. So there's a mile of beam. We're looking for paddles contact.
Paddles contact.
And I'm selecting the water to land now. There we go, water's down to land.
Expect spot 7.5.
Okay, 7.5, we start our turn in. Now I'm holding those nozzles at 54 there, and we're looking for 430 feet at the 90 coming around here. So I'm letting it come on down. We're probably going to be a tad high at the 90.
You're high.
Yep.
You're fast.
So we're at 50 high. A little fast because the angle of attack, that's what it's looking at, not at your airspeed, so it's all about angle attack. Now we want to be at 320 feet as we come on to final here. So I'm just bringing it down, and I'm looking for a nice turn on to come abeam the tram line just on the port side of the elevator. And now looking for the ball.
Call the ball.
Got the ball.
Roger ball. You're high.
Are a bit high. I'm still at 54 on the nozzles, but I'm going to start bringing them back to 80 now. The stow stops away, back to 80, and I'm flying that ball in, flying at a beam, letting it decelerate, not getting too low, just keep watching the ball, stay abeam, and put the nozzles back a little bit beyond for a reverse stop, and we're stopping, nozzles to 82, holding it level here.
Clear to land.
Clear to land, so we're crossing now. You can see we're just in the water there, so the water's just on at the moment, so we are using a bit of water to keep a nice level cross. So we're crossing, we're looking for 50 feet over the deck, and as we get here we want to have a look at that landing position indicator, which says we're a little bit aft, so I need to move forward a bit, and we're just slowly coming down, following those the red ball in the white lights, and touchdown. Brakes on, nozzles through to 10, and we're going to move straight off the landing
Welcome
spot.
aboard.
So there we go, we've got a OK 3-point with a OK underline V-style groove for timing. So that's basically how we fly a practice pattern case 1, admittedly in crap weather, but makes it more interesting. I hope that's informative. It's a pretty mechanical process, flying it in, with a little bit of ginning around on the nozzles just to make sure you keep carrying it forward to the carrier. You don't want to stall back there, hovering around behind the carrier. It just makes it harder, and also that long groove time means that the next plane in the pattern is going to end up with a wave off because you're still fouling the deck. So if you can aim for that sort of 70-second mark coming in from that turn on to final and ball call. Anyway, I hope that helps. Anyway.